everyone. Thanks for joining me on Rising Stories. Each week, I interview a business owner or an author, and we talk about how they live and how they work. We take a look at the behind-the-scenes action of the life of an author or business owner. So grab a cup of coffee or a tall glass of tea or a glass of wine and listen to their stories. Today's guest is Ruthie Staalsen. She is an interior decorator who puts her heart and soul into every project. She shares about how she began taking baby steps to build her design company from scratch. We talk about everything from tips on how to shop for a good rug, how she relieves stress, to afternoon tea. She was a delightful guest with a mix of Texas hospitality and English flair. Here's my conversation with Ruthie.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate you having me on. And I know you pronounce your name Kareen, is that right?
That's right. You did it right.
Good.
Yeah,
Well, I love that name because my daughter's name is Karen. So
how did she spell that?
She spells it Kaarin, but it was originally Corinne.
Oh,
Yeah, when I saw your name, I thought, oh, I love that. It's beautiful.
Karen. Oh, I like that too. Yeah. There was, when I moved here, I'm actually a Texan.
Okay.
And so, like yourself, you're in Dallas. You're based out of Dallas. And when I moved here, people did the southern version of my name, which is Corinne, or there's another pronunciation. I can't remember what it is. But anyway, mine's Kareen. But so you're from Dallas, and you are a designer.
I am. Here in the Dallas area, Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Awesome. Tell me more about yourself and how you got started.
Sure. Well, actually, I got started in design not really thinking that I would ever do this. It's kind of a weird, you don't never know how life is going to turn out, right? Prior to having kids, my husband and I were both very interested in redoing homes and remodeling. And so we did 2 of our own from start to scratch.
Oh, wow.
From scratch all the way to totally remodeling the whole thing. And, our friends and family started asking us to help. And so I would do a lot of interior design work for friends and family and kind of created a portfolio. And then when my kids started school, I was ready to kind of launch it because I was so excited about this and had such a passion for it that I launched it. And in 2002, DecRenew Interiors was born, and it just flourished from there. So that's kind of how I started, just because I had a passion in my heart and loved what I did and loved people and loved being in homes where I could actually be a part of the lives of the people in the homes. And it was just an exciting business. So that's how I started, and it just blossomed from there.
Wow. And you've won a lot of awards. You've won
I have, actually, which is quite an honor.
Yeah.
I just didn't think that would be for me. I do it because I love it. And then if I get the awards, that's wonderful. But it's been quite rewarding to be acknowledged. Yes.
That's such a great attitude too, as a fellow businesswoman is, I struggle, everyone wants accolades, but it's nice to just, work it like you were doing, and just, if they come, they come. And if they don't, you're enjoying what you're doing. And I think that's exactly what everybody needs to do, is just, hand to the plow and just do what you love. And those things will come if they, come. And if they don't, you're still loving what you're doing. And I'm sure you would have still continued to go on, awards or not, but that's exciting that you have some.
Well, it is. And I think you just have to take it with that sort of mindset, is just do what you love, let everything else follow, because we as women, we have so many people that we start comparing ourselves to, and especially now with social media. And I know I'm very involved in that. And we tend to start looking at what everybody else is doing and thinking, oh my gosh, I should be doing that, or I should be doing this. Why am I not doing this? And so it can be very discouraging. And so I started realizing very early on in my business that I had to be who I was and do what I love and do it the way I think it should be done. Of course, learning from other people too, but knowing that my task is to do what I'm called to do. And that is to love what I do and enjoy what I do and make money for, make a living.
Yeah.
So, and everything else will follow. So
True.
that's kind of my motto
Your
is,
motto and philosophy. That's great.
yep,
And I commend you because you really started it from scratch.
right.
You were talking earlier about how you and your husband started building a home, a house,
Mm,
and that's pretty much what you did with your business. I mean, you basically just started from scratch and from the foundation on up, and
hmm
that is really cool.
Well, and I was fortunate to marry into a family that has a construction business, and so my husband watched all his life his father building things, creating things, and a lot of it was in primitive areas because he grew up in Papua New Guinea,
Oh,
which is close to Australia, but
right.
his father built a wonderful houseboat, and that's what they lived on. And so he watched his father do that, and so he has this handyman side to him that is incredible. And so I have benefited from that, and he's helped me from the very beginning. He started being my handyman at first and would help me with installs, and then slowly that grew into me hiring other people, and now he's just of course, he's my right hand man in the
Yeah.
business, but he's not as involved as he used to be.
So
But
he has a construction company.
actually, Staalsen Construction is a construction company in Chicago,
Uh-huh.
and they're different from what we are. But he grew up kind of around a lot of that.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And so when you go into clients' homes, if they need a certain something, you can say, "Oh, my husband can design that or figure that out." Is that kind of his?
Well, he's not as involved as that at this point. I mean, eventually, one day, I think maybe I'd love to have him, that involved. But at
Mm-hmm,
this point, I have contractors that I work with independently.
mm-hmm.
And so he mainly is just kind of working alongside me and kind of helping me with, advice and mentoring and all of that. So we're kind of a team together.
That's neat. One of
Yeah.
the things that I loved about your information that you had out there, and the thing that attracted me to you was that you seem to be the decorator for all, um, kind of all levels of, I guess, income. It seemed like you had a consultation for people who just want you to come in and just, come in and rearrange my home with the things that I already have, make it pretty, make it, design it. And then you also have, high end for, I've got this new home and I just want you to, decorate. This is what I love.
Correct. Yeah, and that really is really my passion because I wanted to be able to provide a service to everybody. Because not everybody can afford to have me redo their entire home, kind of like on HGTV, where we start from scratch and you walk in and it's this exciting reveal and all of that. And that's a privilege. That's a
Hmm.
really nice, it's a luxury. And not everybody can do that, but everybody wants a great home. A good example is just watching the HGTV shows, Fixer Upper with JoJo and the way she goes in and does all of that. And I mean, I want to be able to provide to the average person, maybe some thoughts and ideas of how they can go about maybe getting some of the things and what do they need to buy? What color paint do they need to use? And inspire them and get them excited about doing their project by just confirming with them some ideas and things that they've been thinking about. And maybe just say to them, this is exactly what I would do. That's great. Or no, that's a little bit the scale's not quite right on that. Why don't we do this instead? So I'll spend 2 hours with them for a consultation fee that's just a great price where they feel like they're really, really excited when I leave, they're wanting to go forward and do it themselves,
Hmm. Hmm.
which, do it yourself. That's seems like a lot of people are doing that these days because it's affordable. Of
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Well,
So I love to have that kind of as the my everyday, just about I probably do walkthrough consultations 3 or 4 a week.
that's
And
great.
that I love it. I walk away so excited. And what really makes me excited is when the client is got their keys in hand, ready to back out the driveway to go buy their paint because they're so excited. And I feel like, oh gosh, I really inspired somebody. And it's a wonderful business to be in when you feel like you're making people's lives better.
Hmm. And just, changing your surroundings is so therapeutic.
Yeah, it
And
is.
it's so, it really can change your outlook on life sometimes.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
that is very important. I mean, if you've got boxes and things and half painted walls and, a bed that doesn't, look good, it just doesn't
Mhm.
go wrong colors, it can really it's not so fun. But when everything is in sync and everything is, um, connected and it's just the right
Mhm.
colors and you've got something that looks good aesthetically, it does change your outlook on life sometimes. I mean, I know
It.
I choose the nicest room in my house to
Mhm.
enjoy, a
Mhm.
cup of coffee or whatever, which I don't drink coffee, but it's tea.
Yes, I'm with you. I'm with you on the tea. Love the
Yeah.
tea.
Yeah. We talked
But
about that. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. One of the things that I really have found that is so wonderful is when we do a reveal, one of the clients said to me, I feel like I can breathe now. It's
Yeah.
like, and that was a good description of decluttering, getting things feeling like it's just peaceful. And because your home is your haven, it's a place where you should just feel like you can relax and it should invite you home, and it doesn't mean it has to be expensive. It means sometimes it's just a coat of paint and moving some things around to make it look great, have some lamps, and the environment can really make you feel like a better person.
Yes.
And so, that's a wonderful thing.
That is awesome. Yeah, I love that. I love that she felt that way because I can totally relate whenever
Hmm.
you've got a room that isn't, right now I've got my daughter's room that needs to be redone. It's not her room anymore. She just got married and left and has her own
Oh, that's
home, but
hard.
I know it's really hard. And, what's interesting too is, mentioning my daughter, I just turned her on to, and I said, I know you don't have much money, but go to some antique shops. And I
Hmm.
noticed that you mention in your Instagram, which I'm a follower, that you do, you shop at thrift stores and, TJ Maxx and all those places
Hmm.
that are very affordable. So
Hmm.
really no excuse when it comes to good, getting design or, design work or some type of, like redoing your home. And you can do it all kinds of ways with any budgets.
Well, you can make it your own. It doesn't have to be, I like to do high end and low end, kind of the middle of the road too, just
Hmm.
because when you mix those things, it makes it feel a little bit more collected. So, for instance, when you do buy things at antique stores or even a thrift store, it might have really great bones, but it's the wrong color. And we can
Hmm.
paint it. We can make it look brand new. So to me, I get more inspired by using pieces like that other
Hmm.
than just finding something that I get on a showroom floor. To me, I'm much more inspired when I walk into a place that has treasures because then I can
Yes.
make it more for the client versus generic.
Hmm.
And so it has more of a story too that I can tell the client. Well, this used to be this, or it came from this country, and we transformed it into a piece now that's going to be something that you're going to love for your family. And so the story behind it is what makes a house start to feel like a home and starts to give it personality.
I love that. I love that. So, for example, and you were talking about you do high end pieces and then low end where you're in antique stuff and thrift store things. So, if you were redoing, let's say, a dining room, what one piece would you say, get a really good blank because
Hmm.
that will kind of anchor and it will, after that you can mix and match or put some other things from wherever. What's the one
Right.
thing that you say get a
Uh,
good,
yeah. For a dining room, I would say probably a rug, just
really?
because that can add so much color, and it can just really create the mood for the space.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's art. It could be a rug that looks like art, or it could be artwork that just has great color, has a punch of color. And that's something, even artwork, you can create, sometimes you can even create yourself. If you're creative and want to do something abstract, there's lots of inspiration out there on Pinterest and all over where you can just buy a huge canvas and make something beautiful
Wow. Yeah.
with lots of color. So that can make a huge impact in a space. And then whatever table and chairs you have, you can kind of work around that but let that sort of be your inspiration.
That is really neat. Yeah. I that's surprising that but you're right. Rug and it adds color and that's
And
really
rugs
cool.
don't have to be expensive. You can really, if you really kind of know what you're looking for, you can find some rugs. There's different kinds of rugs. You can get the Neiman Marcus version, or you can get the, TJ Maxx version or the Home Goods version. But you have to kind of know what you're looking for and make sure it looks like it's good quality. And depending on where it's going to be too, if it's a kid's room, you don't want to spend the Neiman Marcus price.
Right.
But if it's a family room too, you may not want to either. Sometimes your dining room is a little bit more special and maybe you'll spend a little bit more there. So you can kind of decide on your budget where you want to spend, your money and kind of prioritize that. And that's where I help the client. We put an estimated cost together and I kind of help them and say, okay, let's decide what is priority and where do we need to spend money in certain areas that really mean the most to you, and where can we cut back and fill in the gaps with inexpensive items that will last.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so in building your business that you have now, what's the one thing that you wish that you had done differently when you started out?
Let's see. I think maybe that would have been to hire my assistant earlier than I did.
Like a virtual assistant?
Yeah, and I actually have an assistant that works with me daily, and she's incredible and has helped relieve so much stress from me. I think I was initially too in control and wanted things done a certain way and had a hard time letting go. And so for me, hiring her was the best thing I ever did. Just because she's also a wonderful personality that adds so much to my business and my clients love her. And so it's an extension of myself.
Yeah.
And so, sometimes when we're so busy with our businesses, we wish we could be in 1,000 places at once.
Yes.
Well, now I kind of feel like I can be in some ways because she can represent me. And so I wish I had done that much earlier.
And that's great because she, as, business owners, we have, we just have ourselves. And so when you add that, it's a great companion. You can kind of connect. And if you're having a bad day, just, hey, I'm having a bad day, or just somebody else to bounce ideas off of. And, two heads are always better than one sometimes.
Exactly.
So that's great.
Well, and we get so burned out, we just work so hard. When you're a business owner, you just take on so much and you want to be the best, to everybody, and you want to fulfill everybody's needs, and it's just impossible. And so you have to find tools that help you in the best way possible to be the best that you can be. And for me, it's, just really trying to manage my time and, my resources and learning to delegate, which is not the easiest thing for me to do, but it's the biggest gift I've given myself over the last 4 years, is just to have somebody helping me and not feeling like I have to do it all alone.
What's the one thing that you were glad to delegate?
I think, the hardest thing for me to delegate was her just running around, picking up so many things. And that was hard for me because I loved it. I loved meeting all the new people. And so I missed that, but it was also the best thing I did because so much more is getting done. I'm able to spend more time in the office, putting together proposals and doing design plans. Whereas before I was just running around and organizing and planning, and she does planning all my install days and all the behind the scene things that it takes. It takes a village to run a business, so she does all of that for me now.
Yeah. That's great that you were able to delegate that because, as we grow with our businesses, we quickly find what we enjoy doing, what we, what gets, that cream that rises to the top? What is it that is our cream? What do we really love to do within, our business? And what do we, what's at the bottom? Where are those coffee grounds that we don't
Yeah,
want?
that's a good analogy. I like that.
Those coffee grounds are like, oh, I
Oh, I
really don't want
know.
to do that, but I have to do that.
Yeah.
And so, those are the
Well,
things I want to delegate to.
and the beauty in that is she loves those. She loves the coffee grounds. Like when I say, would you mind? Oh, I love that. I'm happy to do that. So
Mhm.
she, finding good people too that can help you and do love what they do as well. Not, even if sometimes it's little grunt stuff, but she is just amazing because she takes it on with a good attitude and loves it. And it makes me feel like she's part of my team and that
Yeah.
can accomplish something together. So,
Yeah.
it's a risk to hire somebody, but it's the best risk I've ever done. If you don't take a risk, there's no
Right.
reward. There's
That
no
is
reward if you don't
true.
take a risk. Yeah.
That is so true, especially in business and just in life. If you're not willing to take a risk and step
Mm,
out, yeah, you're going to miss out, and you don't know what a great thing it is because here you
mm-hmm.
are, you're probably 80 to 90% more productive because you do have an assistant, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's great.
Well, and even starting a business is it's a huge step. It's scary because you think, oh my gosh, what if I fail? What if this is really not my thing? And you just have to do it. It's never the perfect time. There's
Hmm.
never, you can get all your ducks in a row and then start. But for me, I was like, I guess I just kind of had that philosophy that you just step out and trust that it's going to be okay and just make it happen, just start making it happen. And it slowly starts coming together. Of course, you have to have, good advice and good business sense. You can't just go out there and fluster. But if you go out there and actually, you know, have good people behind you and step out and start doing something, it's better than doing nothing.
Right,
Because
right.
time ticks, and before you know it, it's like, oh my gosh, I said I was going to do that 3 years ago, and I never did.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
And don't you find this true also in business when you're first starting out is that you can, part of what I do is I help small business owners launch, and they want to get all their ducks in a row,
Hmm.
and then and I'm trying to just like you were saying, you've got to just step out.
Hmm.
It's not always going to be perfect. And even I know with ourselves, we're constantly tweaking things, especially on social media, because that changes daily, with things that we need to add. Oh, you've got to do this and you've got to put this on your website. And so you're never going to get it just right. And you're always going to be maybe a step behind
Hmm.
whatever the next person is doing. So why not just do the best you can
Yep.
with a, website or whatever. And so like my clients are wanting to just like, oh, well, I just want to get it perfectly
Hmm.
right before I launch. And I'm like, it's going to be 2 years out before
Hmm.
you don't
Hmm.
go step out in faith. I mean, people are very forgiving and
Yeah.
they're forgetful. They're not going to remember your website 2 years ago when
Right.
it didn't look great. And now it's wonderful and they're just going to enjoy it.
Right. And I think too, people want to see your passion. They want to see the excitement that you have. And if you are excited about something and you're passionate about something, that's contagious. And
Hmm.
that's something that they want. And so for me, I just felt like stepping out, loving what I did, because I was confident in what I did. Um, People just started trusting me, and it was kind of like humbling, because I was like, wow, okay, I guess I do know what I'm doing. And so you start gaining confidence the more and more you baby step it. As
Hmm.
you take another step, you become more confident and more encouraged. And there are times where you feel discouraged because maybe you did something you thought you knew how to do and it didn't work out, but somehow you figure it out, and
Yep.
you make it happen. And so yeah, just starting and stepping out is the biggest advice that I could ever give to anybody that's starting a business. Is
Mm.
just start it. but be wise about maybe having a business plan, and having something in place, but just know it doesn't all have to be perfect to
Yes.
start. Yeah.
True. Very true. So what's your, talking about business, what is your,
hmm
do you have a favorite business app or an app that you use every day as you're running around doing what you need to do?
Well, for sure Instagram, just because I love the Insta stories too now that you can go and watch, behind the scenes. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's kind of my main go-to for because I'm a visual business. People want to see what I'm doing.
Yes.
And a lot of times, in business, now that we have social media out there, a lot of times I've had clients tell me that they kind of stalk me for a while, which is kind of weird, but they look and watch what I'm doing and see if that's it aligns with what they're needing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that app really works for me because it helps for future clients as well as existing clients to kind of see what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Another app that I love is Seize the Day, which is a to-do list app.
Oh, wow.
And I use that every day as I think of things that I need to do. I type it in and it makes it priority or, finish this end of the week or anything like that. But I love Seize the Day. That really helps me.
That's great. Yeah, I've not heard of that. Seize the Day. So it's an app and you
Yep.
can just put in
Yeah.
what's going
Go,
on, what do you need to
call
do.
mom or, pick up kids at this time or, that kind of thing. And it gives you an alarm so that you can remember.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
that,
Well, I
yeah.
like that. I'm all
hmm
for alarms.
Yes. The notifications.
Yes, yes. So tell me, earlier you were telling me that you are from England.
Yeah, actually, I wasn't born in England. But I have a British passport, and my family is all British.
Oh,
My mom
wow.
and dad are British. I was born in South Africa. I was born and raised there.
Oh, wow.
Um, and then we traveled kind of all over the world with my father's work. My
Mm-hmm.
mom and dad both were missionaries,
Okay.
and so we traveled the world, and where I was able to kind of be in different cultures most of my life, which was an amazing gift
That is.
because I got to be immersed in different cultures and learn how to deal with different ways of living and different personalities and so it really has helped me with my business.
That is neat because I think that
Yeah.
when you do travel and you've lived in other countries, I think you have a different appreciation or a different way of, seeing people.
hmm
I think people like you don't categorize and classify people as much as those
hmm
who have lived here forever. And
hmm
Americans, I think, are very guilty of doing that, where they classify, classes.
hmm
Um, and I find that people who have lived in other countries are not like that. They just take you for face value, which I love.
Right.
Which I love.
Well, it's just you see a person for there's so much quality in people from all over the world. When they have so much to offer,
Mm-hmm.
and so because they have a whole different perspective on life, and for me, it's made me a wiser person to have people like that around me because I feel like they have poured information into me that I would have never learned. And a lot of it is just because of travel.
Mm-hmm.
They've had to travel all their life, and so they've learned what it's like to travel in different cultures and the hardships of traveling in different cultures and living in different cultures. And it makes you not take things for granted. We have a lot here.
Yes.
Um, and so, it's also helped me train my girls the same way to, travel with them and let them see the privileges that they have and how much they do have. And it's eye opening to just see how other cultures live.
Mm-hmm. It
Um,
is.
so it's made me a better person, that's for sure.
Yeah. So you have two girls?
I have two girls. They're both in college. Just launched them off. So we're empty nesters. So
Oh,
that's a good thing.
wow. Both at the same time? Are they twins?
Within a year.
Within a
So
year. And so,
yeah,
yeah, I think I was following you on Instagram and maybe you were putting their dorm room together? One of their dorm.
exactly. So we just got one
Nice.
moved in, and so we got her all settled in, and so we came back to empty house, and
Oh,
it's
wow.
different, but it's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a different stage of life. I would have the time has flown.
Mm-hmm.
It's made my business different too, because I have more time on my hands. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
able to kind of take on different projects
Wow.
that I wasn't able to before. Because, when we first started, we had priorities as far as family. We wanted to make sure that that was priority. And, so we really tried to kind of balance that if there is balance in life, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
hard to say there is, but we tried as hard as we could to put them first. And there was times I had to give up a lot of things, and say, you know what, I can't do that project right now, but knowing that it may come again another day, and
Yeah.
I would get to do it. So now's the day that I get to maybe take on some projects that I wasn't able to before, because it just would have consumed me too much.
Yeah. And I think, we as women and business owners, there are seasons in
Mhm.
life. And
Mhm.
I think there are seasons for men too. They've just, they have longer, I feel like they have longer seasons than we do. I think we have shorter seasons until our kids are grown and out of the house. And then it might be a longer season from then on. But there are so many different seasons because we're
Mhm.
raising a family or we're
Mhm.
married.
Mhm.
Um, and so, yeah, I have to remember that. I think that's probably one of my biggest challenges right now is just what can I take on, what I can't take on, because I
Mhm.
still have one at home. I have a
Yeah.
15-year-old son that's home, and he plays two sports, and so we're gone a lot. And
Oh boy.
I have to remember I cannot do it all. I
Yes, you
cannot do it all.
can't. You just can't.
It just is, as much as my willingness and my excitement and eagerness is there. I just, I have to have some limitations on what I
Mhm.
can do, and
Mhm.
trying to convince myself it's okay because this is a season.
Mhm.
When he's gone to college, it'll be a different season. Like you said, I'll
It
have more
is.
time.
You only get one chance with your kids, and that chance is there, and it's gone in a blink of an eye. And
Mm-hmm.
I can testify to that right now, because it's gone.
Yeah.
But I have no regrets. I feel like the time that I spent with them was awesome, and they knew that my work was important, but I got them involved. And so
Mm-hmm.
they helped me with stuff, and it made them better people, because they learned to serve, and they learned to schlep boxes and undo boxes and help me pack and load my car and unload my car.
That's
And it was
great.
part of the team, the family. We were all a team, and they knew that mom has an install tomorrow. She needs help. What can I help you
Mm-hmm.
with, mom?
Aw.
And so, that's something it's something that you give your kids when you're a business owner,
Mm-hmm. Builds
mom and wife,
character.
and it builds character, and they see you wearing those different hats, and they see how it's handled. And for girls too, just for them to watch that that's possible, and that they
Mm-hmm.
can have a chance to do that at some point, and work around their family. And we have so many
Absolutely.
opportunities, these days, that I'm sure my parents didn't have, but we have that now, just because of the way our lives are.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
we can work remotely, and do so much more, and be more productive than they ever were.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. That's amazing that you brought them into to all that. I think that's a gift, definitely. So, Ruthie, are you a reader? Do you like to read?
I'm not as much of a reader. I love to listen. So I struggled with dyslexia all of my growing up years, and just struggled with that a lot in elementary school and through high school. And so for me, when I hear and listen to books on tape through Audible, which, Amazon,
I love
I
Audible.
absolutely love it. And I
Mm-hmm.
spend so much time in the car, from client to client, that I just put that on, and I listen to tons of different books.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really do enjoy that more than sitting and reading,
Same
personally.
here.
Unless it's
Yeah.
a design magazine, I'm all over that.
Yes, and that's different because it's you're looking at it and it's you need that.
Yes.
What's your favorite design? Do you have a favorite design book?
Um, there's, I have so many. I don't have any in front of me at this moment, but there's one that I just I'll get it for you, and maybe you can put it on my website that I'm reading, but I
Mm-hmm.
can't remember the name of it specifically at this point. But I loved a lot of blogs too. So
Mm-hmm.
reading blogs, and going online and seeing what other people are doing, and just getting a different perspective. from design is a great way for me to, I love doing that. So sometimes it's just, taking my phone with me and going through and reading the different blogs that people have posted over the last few months of just a process that maybe they've been working on for whatever design they're working on. I get to kind of follow that and
Yeah.
see what they're doing. So
I think
I
one
do
of my
love that.
favorite, I don't know if it's a design book as much as it's, and I just discovered it maybe 2 or 3 years ago or 2 years ago. I think it's called The Nesting Place.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And
Hmm.
I call it my therapy design.
Yes.
It's much more like not therapy. What am I? More of a counseling type.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, more of a counseling type. Yeah, I mean, I guess it is kind of therapy because I wish I had had that in my hands like years ago.
Hmm.
Because I had this thing with my husband. He'd always be like, "Well, what color are you going to paint that wall?" And I'd say,
Hmm.
"Oh, I want to paint it this color." And he was like, wasn't critical, but he would kind of like wince and I'm like, I don't know if that's going to work. And so
Hmm.
then I kind of shied away from doing that. And then the times that I didn't consult him and just went for it, he was like, oh, that's really cool.
Hmm.
And now
Hmm.
that's the way I decorate. And so, um, there's just so many little advice pieces within that book that I just love. And so The Nesting Place
Well,
is probably my favorite.
and it's just, I think it's based on, it doesn't have to be beautiful. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect to be beautiful.
Right.
So, that's a big thing, because it doesn't. The prettiest rooms are sometimes not as thought about. They just did it. They just did what they loved and it came
Yeah.
together. And so sometimes we think too hard on things,
Yes.
like that paint
I was like
color.
that.
Just do it.
Just
Just,
do
you
it.
can paint it again,
Right.
don't worry about it.
What's the
Just
worst
go
thing?
for it.
Yeah.
Right.
Put
Right.
put this picture here. What's
Right.
the worst thing? It's just it's a huge wall, and you're talking about messing it up by a tiny little fraction.
Yeah, I know. But that's where for me, just going in for a consultation with a client and being able to say, yes, that's perfect. Or no, why don't we do this instead? It's confirmation for them to then move forward without being scared and
Yes.
without making mistakes.
Yes.
So,
Now, do you ever do consultations like on FaceTime? Like, here's my
sure.
room. Let me
Hmm.
show you my room
Yep.
and move it around and show
Hmm.
you what I have. And then you can like maybe do a recording of it and send it to you. And then you can say, this is what you need to do, blah, blah, blah. That would be an awesome.
Yes. And I do a lot of that. And, a lot of that with my contractor too, where he calls me on FaceTime and says, okay, what do you think of this? This is what it's looking like. And,
Okay.
if I'm not available to be there right that second. So we do a lot of that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I don't like to do is picking colors, of course, because
Mm-hmm.
paint colors are so different in different homes and light and,
Lighting. Yes.
lighting and it can be totally different from one home to another.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but definitely like, let's look at that and rearrange the furniture. Let's figure out how we can make it, visually, if I can see it, we can make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
So we've actually redone entire homes from, just all on the internet
Wow. It's
where
amazing.
they've moved one house to the other. They've had the house here and we've got it all ready, specced
Over there,
out
somewhere
and
else.
ready. And so that when they come in, they know exactly where their furniture is going to go and then they're excited about their move because it's not so overwhelming.
Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
gift. That's great. So tell me, what are three things, I always ask my guests, what are three things that you're absolutely loving these days?
Three things that I'm absolutely loving. Um, well, let's see. One thing is I absolutely love, let's see, Bath and Body Works has a lotion that is like a eucalyptus spa. Let me just look here and see what the name of it is. It's a, let's see, I had it written down. Now I can't find it.
That's okay. We can put it in
Yeah,
later.
it's a Bath and Body Works stress relief. It's a
Mm.
eucalyptus stress relief,
Mm-hmm.
and I absolutely love it. It just makes me relax.
Is it a lotion?
It's a lotion.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So I absolutely love that. It's one of my favorite.
That does
Um,
sound nice.
yeah. So let's see. Anything else that I'm actually, well, of course, we talked a little bit about, kind of the for me, middle of the day, having something refreshing. I love sweet tea from Chick-fil-A.
Yes.
It's a has to for me.
Yes. So
Um,
you're a
so,
midday girl. You do it midday. You go and get
hmm
Chick-fil-A. You get the
Yep.
big large at
Yep.
Chick-fil-A
Yep.
sweet tea, and you do half
Yep.
and half.
Half and half.
Hmm.
Absolutely love that because it's not too sweet.
Yeah, I'm same here. And I
Yep.
do Sonic, which mostly because I like the ice. And they just
hmm
my particular Sonic just really knows how. I mean, they've gotten that. I want to say sweet spot with the tea, but it's kind of not so sweet, and not too unsweet. So it's almost like a half and half, but sometimes I purposely get half and half if I feel like
hmm
I've had too much sugar that day or whatever. But yeah, we love our tea. So you're
But so
kind of
the ice,
southern now with the
well, yeah,
tea.
the iced tea, when I first came here to the States, of course, iced tea was like, ooh, who drinks iced tea? Because all we did is drink hot tea.
Hmm.
So, I have my iced tea in the middle of the day, Texas style, but
Hmm.
then about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the girls and I would usually have a cup of hot tea, with milk and sugar. And
Okay.
that is usually kind of like my, oh, okay, I need a little bit of a picker, something to pick me up, but it's just soothing and I love it in a great china cup. I have a
Hmm.
collection of china cups and, I'll go and choose which one I want for the day. And it's just kind of a special treat.
I never really got that, but I'm going to try that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking I'm going to give it a try. Now, I come from my grandmother was an herbalist, so anytime I was sick, she would shove hot tea in me. So there
Mm-hmm.
was a tea
Yeah.
for everything
So,
that
so,
ailed
so you
you.
kind of have that in the background.
So
Yeah.
that is my crutch. That is my
Mm-hmm.
handicap is that I'm not a big hot tea drinker. I do try to, I love sweet tea, but I'm not going to give it another try because that does sound relaxing. Just when you were
Yeah.
saying that, that sounds
Mm-hmm.
really relaxing to sit
Well,
down and just enjoy a cup of hot tea.
and Earl Grey is definitely what you need to have.
Okay.
If you like Earl Grey, I love Earl Grey. It's my favorite hot tea.
Mm-hmm.
My daughters love green tea, but I love the hot tea, the Earl
Okay.
Greys for sure.
I'll have to try that. Anything else? You don't have to have three, but
Nope,
those
that's
are fun.
about it for now. Those are
Those
my
are
kind of
fun.
favorites.
Yeah.
I do one other quick thing. I am loving jewelry from Noonday Collection. If you've,
Yes.
they are an international company, and they have all kinds of beautiful. Actually,
Are you a design?
I think what I'm wearing is a Noonday.
Uh-huh. Well, they can't see it, but it's
Yeah.
beautiful.
So it's a wonderful beaded necklace, and it's kind of has an African flair, and so that, of course, because I'm from Africa, I love that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I love those new Noonday and Seiko
Mm-hmm.
that are giving back
Yeah.
and have a
And that's
purpose
exactly what they do. Yeah. Yeah.
instead of
Making
just
making lives for people over where they're creating their own businesses in
Hmm.
Africa so that they can raise their families. And
Yeah.
so that's a wonderful thing. I love to see that.
Yes. Wasn't that so much fun? I found myself thinking I would love to just sit down with her and have afternoon tea. When she talked about hiring an assistant and the joy that she found in doing that, I know someone out there needed to hear that piece of advice. She is right. You can't do it all. A great tip for all of us business owners. You can connect with Ruthie Staalsen by going to the show notes at CorrineSandifer.com. All the information that we mentioned today will be on the show notes there. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram. It's my favorite social media site, and you can find me at Corrine Sandifer. And please share this podcast with a friend. Music is by Ben Sound, and this podcast has been sponsored by Brentwood Life Coach. Thanks so much for listening to Rising Stories. Take care and keep rising in your own story.